G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we're on Dry Arabia, the classic map, to watch as one professional player goes up against one aspiring player. We've already covered them a little bit earlier on this week. Ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce our players. Spawning in on the west side of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Mongols, representing Team Fox, it's Anat. And on the east side of the map, in the color orange, playing as the Deli Sultanate, it's May. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dry Arabia. A pleasure to have your company. If you haven't already, may I interest you in a story about May? May is a one-trick pony. May loves to play the Deli Sultanate. That's pretty much all he plays. I don't think I've ever seen a game that was of May that wasn't of the Deli Sultanate. And that excites me greatly, because I'm a one-trick pony as well. It depends on the flavor of the month, though. As you guys know, if the Holy Roman Empire gets buffed, I'm a one-trick pony for the Holy Roman Empire. Until they get nerfed, that is. That's just... I'm a little bit like... Who is it? It's Divine. Do you remember Divine? Divine DFP? We haven't casted one of his games in quite a while. But I remember whenever I'd want to play ranked on the ladder, I'd check, okay, let me just have a look and see Divine's profile and see what he's been playing, because that's going to tell you what the best civ is at the moment. And he was very good at doing that. And look, we've all been enjoyers of the flavor of the month. Anyway, May's always really stuck to his guns. Only played the Deli Sultanate, and we've casted a couple games of May in the past. One more recently where he took on Elyona. It was an incredible game, a really good game. Action-packed, and didn't look like he was going to win, and well, in the end he managed to pull out a pretty nice victory. So the question that is going to be on my mind today is, how will he stack up against Anat? So whether you like it or not, whether you're a Frenchman or whether you're from Belarus, Anat is quite I would say a step above Elyona when it comes to skill. Anat consistently sitting at like rank 1 or 2 on the 1v1 ladder, and May is undoubtedly going to be coming for his scalp today. So I'm excited to see exactly what we've got in store. The standard plan is for the Deli Sultanate to go for the sacred sites, so you're going to be looking to try and take all 3 of the sacred sites. One thing to note is that the Mongols do like to get out active and early in the early stages of the game. But one thing to note, though, is that May's done a little bit of scouting, has spotted out the towns, and hasn't seen too much from the Mongols just yet. But if we have a look and see what Anat is doing, you'll see that he's actually only just got the pasture. It's not a barracks, it's not early aggression, he's not going to be looking to throw down any problems or problem outposts on the gold veins. And now that gets spotted out by May. So May now knows, okay, we're playing a little bit of a passive game here. At least that's what the Mongol plan is. And that's a great thing for May. May likes that a lot, because it means that he'll be able to contest the sacred sites pretty easily. The game plan for May is quite simple. Dome of the Faith, get some scholars out, look to try and take all 3 sacred sites at the same time, use the gold that it generates those sacred sites to get you up into the castle age. And once you're in the castle age, from there, look to stabilize and try and do some damage to your opponent. We've seen May typically moving into a combination of crossbows as well as men-at-arms, but we really do see a mix of everything. We see elephants, lancers, so we'll have to wait and see what the play is, but already you can start to see these upgrades on the way through. We've got wheelbarrow coming through here, as well as our early forestry upgrades. Back, though, on the other side of the map with Anat, the deer stone's coming up with only 3 vills, so a little bit of a slow burn here for Anat. Not looking to rush this one up. 3 vills on the gold. It's a back gold as well, which means that you're probably less likely to see an outpost on this, even if you are thinking about going for a quick castle age. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we do see from Anat just a stable thrown down in the next little bit, and potentially a couple of keshiks that do come out. Keep in mind, actually, it's going to be a second pasture. Have a look at that. So all of the early wood that is being spent here is being just spent on pastures. Now, there's no upgrades that you can get from these pastures. They just generate sheep. That's it. But obviously, you want to move them around as the Uvu goes down. So if you've got stone that's nearby, perhaps this stone up here, you'd want to move your pastures just so that they're creating those sheeps a little bit more quickly. But the age up does come through on the south, or rather on the east side of the map. I mean, technically, it is the south side of the map. If we were to draw a line across that hemisphere, that equator rather, then May would definitely be on the southern hemisphere, that is for sure. But I don't know if hemisphere is the right term. Maybe like hemis square, hemis diamond. Anyway, you guys get where I'm coming from. May now with the stable does get scattered out by Anat. On the other side of the map, though, we'll check and see what the plan is here for Anat. 3 vills still on gold for the moment. 4th vill now going to be added in, and the outpost. Okay, that's gonna that kind of gives it away. We don't know 100%, but the expectation here would be that we want to try and keep our gold safe, and well, naturally we're going to need an outpost to do that, and normally that means that we're going to be thinking about Castle Age, which is going to make a lot of sense here for Anat. The sooner that you're up to the Castle Age, obviously the sooner you're able to get up to relics, and you probably want to prioritize denying those relics away from a civilization you know will be thinking about getting them, or at least getting control of the majority of them. So the first of the Ghazi Raiders is now out. You can see May just chilling in his base. Now, I apologize if I do refer to May as a her, as a she. That is just because when I think of the name May, I think of a girl's name. But you know, it's kind of like the name Venus, I guess. It's got that feminine. It's kind of, I guess, I don't know why. Maybe I knew somebody whose name was May, and I just don't remember. I don't remember any girls I've known by the name of May. But anyway, was it? No, it's not. Who was from Pokemon? There was Ash Ketchum and Brock, and there was Misty. Yeah, that's not May, is it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that May's coming from. Is there a famous May from a cartoon character or a cartoon series that was in the 90s? That may have led to this. Perhaps there was. But Ghazi Raiders now starting to come out. Quite a number of Ghazi Raiders. Already got the Scholar inside the stable, pumping them out nice and early. I'm loving this approach from May, and I've got to follow up with the barracks immediately, because obviously on the other side of the map, you can see that May's scout has already spotted out the stable response here for Anat. And have a look at this. Interesting eco upgrades coming through from Anat. So not going to be going towards the Castle Age. Instead, going to be looking for eco upgrades. Now, we do not have the arrow slits just yet, but you'll be able to still use that outpost as a defensive fallback option. Now, one thing to note is that while the Keshik is strong, it's kind of like a halfway between a knight and halfway between a horseman. It is still technically a heavy melee cavalry unit, and that means that the Ghazi Raider will do very effectively against it, because it has that extra little bit of damage against heavy units. Now, he does outnumber Anat at the moment, so he's going to look to try and take this fight. Have a look at the amount of Ghazi Raiders that are out at the moment on the field. It's a crazy amount that we're seeing. Khan going to go for a little bit of a run here, pops the movement speed and says, see you later, mate. I'm going to put on the NOS right here. Does a bit of a run around, but Anatan's going to be careful. I think he might get caught out here. He's going to try and take the Khan down, and indeed the Khan has been taken out. May now going to be copping quite a bit of damage as we see one of those Ghazi Raiders go down. Second one also going to have to fall back on low health, and beautiful micro coming out early on in this game from the calendar month. It is looking good. Meanwhile, towards the north side of the map, we start to see sacred sites being taken. 1, 2, and 3, all coming through at the same time. And have a look from Anatan's perspective. Right now, there is nothing to contest these sacred sites. There's no cavalry moving in any direction. The fight is purely on these Ghazi Raiders, and that's exactly what May wants. This is so damn perfect for May early on in this game. Look at this, 17 military against 5. And it feels like things have been going relatively well for Anatan at this point in the game. I guess the largest factor here is that Anatan has gone for some eco upgrades. We've seen wheelbarrow, we've seen horticulture, but that's about it. Nothing else too crazy has come out so far. But 3 sacred sites now taken. Now remember that at this stage of the game, May doesn't want to go for a sacred victory. Even though he's approaching sacred victory, he doesn't want to go for a sacred victory. This is purely just to generate gold. He's got 2 vills on gold back at home, but you'll see quickly that that gold generation number is going to rise rapidly. It's at 215 a minute at the moment, but continue watching and it will go up to 235 a minute. Every couple of seconds he'll get a trickle of gold that comes through. And that's going to push that number even higher, because that's all the gold that he's collected in the last minute, and up to 319 a minute now. And now we can see that towards the south side of the map, a single Keshik is going to attempt to take out, or at least to neutralize this sacred site. But remember, this whole time, as long as May's collecting gold, he is happy. Towards the north, we also see the same thing. Interesting positioning on that scholar just outside of the line of sight of these units. But to be honest, at this point, the damage has been done. May has gathered up so much gold behind the scenes, because this gold is not going to get used for anything other than for the age up and maybe for a couple of scholars. That's about it. But holding onto this sacred site at the bottom, we see a spearman as well in the mix. We've got a whole bunch of spears that are sitting back at home, so if anything, this is a good trade for Anatan, because Anatan's able to take out the majority of these units, and of course, at the end of the day, May manages to keep the sacred site alive for a little bit longer, but at what cost? Towards the north, though, May secures the northern sacred site, and things go well for him. Honestly, 2 out of 3 sacred sites is great. That's exactly where you want to be. 2 out of 3. If you can just hold 2 out of 3, then you can pretty much win every game. 3 out of 3, you win every game and the next one as well. They just give you a freebie. It's not quite that way, but you guys get the idea, right? You typically want to be trying for at least 2 sacred sites as the Deli Sultanate. But now, we're right on board with Anat as these Keshik numbers continue to improve. He's starting to add in a couple of archers cognizant of the threat of spears. Gets a nice point-blank charge off there. You might have seen it. He right-clicked the spear, and they all just charged at point-blank into the enemy cavalry. And now, plenty of units out on the map here for Anat, starting to stack up a little bit of the food in the bank. By the same token, May has plenty of gold to be running with almost 1,000 food a minute here. Which means that he could be considering an age up shortly. Double stable, as well as that archery range in the back. Gonna just be rallying close to home. Obviously, the deer stones are here. Wouldn't be surprised to see these deer stones moved out a little bit further, just to try and get a bit more value off this upgrade. The YAM network, of course, is what we're referring to. Increases the movement speed of your units, including your villagers. So everybody gets a little bit of extra movement speed with the YAM network. You can always just put an outpost down in the base and then move out with the landmark. That's normally what you see players doing. But third sacred site now coming online, and have a look at this. We got some walls coming down, beautiful walls as well, right around the outside of this sacred site. In the north of the map, a single Keshik continues to decap. Is he going to be able to make it in time? It looks like it's going to be close. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, you hate it. You hate to see it so much right there. So the mistake that May made was right-clicking the enemy unit when he should have just right-clicked this position. So now you've stopped the sacred site timer and you've stopped all that gold, and now you've got to go recap that sacred site. Look, at the end of the day, fortunately the scholar was in position and ready to go, because May kind of knew that this was going to happen. And I mean, at the end of the day, it still feels like a win for Anat. I'll say that much. Age up now comes through for May. We're seeing the Deli's power spike beginning to build. The House of Learning. Look at all the upgrades that are coming through. Beautiful to see. 6 upgrades, all queued up at the same time. It's going to take some time for them to come through. Third sacred site. Actually, I take it back. It's the second sacred site. Nice little wiggle that we got to witness there. But the Vills on the gold getting stalled out. And keep in mind that as these Vills on the gold get stalled out, that means that you're not aging up. So by stalling out, by attacking this gold, it's delaying that age up from coming through. Sacred site secured in the south of the map. Don't be surprised if we start... Oh my lord, that's a lot of units. 32 military out on the map for Anat. I suspect almost all of it is going to be on this screen right now, as the spears get picked off together with the archers and the Keshiks together pick off the spears. But we start to see a lot of units beginning to make their way out on this map. Outpost getting thrown down with the mill. May now having to head back to the drawing board about the direction that he takes with regard to the enemy presence on this map. Of course, Anat staying a little bit longer in the feudal age rather than opting to go up to the castle age. It's going to mean that May's got the advantage when it comes to things like relics. And we can see that at the moment, Anat is camping up one of the relics. Second relic safely in the back of his base, though keep in mind that 3 relics are held in the possession of May at this point in the game, which is kind of crazy. The fact that it's this early on and still we've got 3 relics that are being held. Now, I suspect that number's probably going to be going up to 4 shortly, because May is inevitably going to be putting units out on this map, and they're going to be castle age units. So expect to see men-at-arms, expect to see lancers. In fact, I would be very surprised if it's not just a whole bunch of mass lancers, scholars inside stables, and just lancer production out the wazoo. Of course, you can always be countered by spearmen, which is normally what you see at this timing, as we do see 2 spears with 6 in the queue for Anat, because he knows, well, what's my main threat right now? Well, your main threat right now are lancers. So he does the right thing. He gets the spears out the moment that he hits castle age. Or rather, he gets spears out the moment that his opponent hits castle age. There we go. We fixed it up. How many pastures we got back here? 1, 2 pastures, but it looks like a couple more are going to be coming down. Keep in mind that Uvu needs to be replaced. This Uvu needs to be moving over towards this this position over here on the top side. So instead of building these pastures right here, I would have been building them over here on the new Uvu, but it's one of those small little details that even though you're one of the best players in the world, you still just kind of miss it just because there's so much going on in the game. Have a look at this. He's not going to miss the Kashyyyks running in towards the enemy main base. And spears together with those Ghazi Raiders chasing them away. Keep in mind, Veterancy has already come through for the Spears. Veterancy already through for the Ghazi Raiders. This is largely because of the amount of Scholars that we see coming out right now from that Dome of the Faith. Already up to, what have we got? 10 Scholars in here, 10 Scholars in here. A total of 15 Scholars already. That is crazy, the amount of Scholars that we are seeing out of May in this game. May, of course, for anyone who doesn't know, he's a one-trick pony. Only plays the Deli Sultanate. No other civilization, just the Deli Sultanate. So an absolute expert in this domain when it comes to this matchup, knows it intricately. Elephants now out. Going to be looking to cause some damage up against that cavalry. And speaking of cavalry, plenty of it on the field as the numbers begin to combine into a single huge army. Archers on the back line, +1 range attackers come through for them. They're going to do their best to try and try and pick off those spearmen. But you can see the speed of the Deli army is going to be lacking here. Keep in mind the Yam network isn't even in play at this stage of the game. Needs to bring the landmark up a little bit forward just so that you've got that extra movement speed. It definitely helps out. And now those troops falling back away from that center. Plenty of Scholars now coming out. You can see the majority of the tech has come through now for May. We also have that Pikes upgrade, an extra little bit of range for the archers and the crossbowmen. Now, speaking of archers, do we have any archers that are on the field at the moment that I can click on? I don't think so. Never mind. Oh, it's a combination, isn't it? I'm trying to think why they get that extra bonus range, and it's the Pikes together with that Imperial Age upgrade that they get, which increases their range as well. But at the moment, one single sacred site remains for May. Up to the north, he's looking to capture that, or regain regain possession of that, and that first one. Ville's going to be on the run here. Only 5 spaces for 7 Villes. It means almost certainly one of them will be going down. And indeed, oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be so damn close. Only one of them goes down. A single one goes down, but meanwhile, towards the other side of the map, we see the men-at-arms chasing away all the infantry. Anatan still in the second age. No sign of an age up just yet. And look at the amount of units that are coming out across this map right now. May is looking to cause some havoc inside the base of Anatan. Anatan is going balls to the walls with the amount of units he is making. But fortunately for him, he spots out this raid before it actually comes to fruition. Catches all of the Lancers in a beautiful little spot. One of them does go down. Manages to skewer it. Sends it to the Shadow Realm. Meanwhile, the second one is going to be going down. Up towards that top side now. May, not really holding on for dear life. Instead, just continuing to expand out across the map. We see the second sacred site in the south taken. Now the third sacred site in the center of the map is just going to be given up by the Scholar. A little bit of a misplay here. Maybe looking at bringing in all of his idle units and just forgot about that one Scholar that was standing on the sacred site. Maybe he just realized that he was losing position in the middle and just had to fall back away from it. In which case, mad respect. Meanwhile, towards that top side, still no walls up on that sacred site. So it's going to be easily decapped. This one down here is yet to be rewalled despite the intention, or clear intention, of May to get that rewall in. Economy is pretty even Stevens at the moment, 56 versus 53. Let's check in and see how these numbers are actually stacking up. So for Anatan, he's at 1,000 food. 1,000, we'll call it 1,100 here. He's about it. 1,400, 1,700. So 1,700 total. Compared over to May, who's on 1,200. 1,600. Oh my lord, 1,600 plus the 700 a minute that I just saw there. You're talking about 2,300. So quite a bit of difference there between the two players. 17 versus 26, or 23 rather. That is a big difference, and that is largely going to be because of relics. You've got 4 in favor of May. You've also got the 2 sacred sites that are just trickling in that gold slowly but steadily. And I think Anatan has realized, you know what, we just can't keep fighting feudal age and a castle age. We're going to have to buy some time here. Can't be aggressive here. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep getting shut down. And we start to see walls coming up now for May while he waits for the inevitable castle age of Anatan. The build-up is going to continue, though. Keshik's around the south side. Now, keep in mind, we did see a little bit earlier in the week, May taking down Elyona, another Conqueror 3 player who is very good, about 2,000 rated. So Conqueror plus, or Conqueror 3 plus. Anatan, as I mentioned earlier in the video, he currently sits at about rank 1 or rank 2 on the ladder. I'd have to double check and see, because it kind of switches and it changes depending on how much you play. Like, one of the things that you'll notice with Age of Empires and the way that it works is the more that you play, the more your rank will typically go up. It's a bit weird, but it's just the way that it works, because if you play like 20 games against lower ranked people and you win 19 of them, your rank is going to go up a lot. Whereas if it's like, you know, if you're playing against the top rated guys and you go 50-50 with them, your rank's not going to go up a huge amount. So it just works out to be the person who plays the most games in general is going to rise to the top once you start getting to the really top echelon. Of course, there are exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's pretty much the way that it goes. All right, well, spears up against lancers. Now, don't get me wrong. If you play a lot, it doesn't mean that you're going to be the highest rated player. It's more just with regard to once you've reached that top tier, it's not so much about, you know, oh, this person's rank 1 versus this person on rank 3, just because of the way that matchmaking works. And it's still quite a bit weird. Like, I remember a game that I played. I can't remember who it was, but I just remember beating them and getting like -2 rating and thinking, why do I get -2 rating for beating someone? And then I would see like games in that person's history where they would lose to someone and their rating would increase. And I was just like, this is strange. Like there's no circumstances where I should win a game and lose rating. But yeah, and then there's like games that you play against really high rated people and you beat them and you'll only win 1 or 2 points. And it's like, what is going on here? I remember sending it through to the devs actually, but we can see right now, Raid's going to get caught out a lot of villagers here over on the west side. Yeah, I remember sending it through to the devs basically like, what's going on here? Because you've got like a public value of MMR, which is like very easy to see and track. And then you've got like 2 players playing against the same person, both losing. One of them loses 3 MMR and the other loses 36 MMR. So like, what's going on here? Is there a hidden MMR as well as a real MMR? At which point you've got to ask the question, well, why do we even have a real MMR? I'm hoping that they actually make changes to the way that matchmaking works. I think the biggest thing for the way for matchmaking to work is instead of it working off rating, it should just work off ranking. I don't know why it doesn't do this, but like at the moment, if you're a Conqueror 3 player, like if you're Beastie and you queue up, you're going to be waiting 7 minutes just to fight against another Conqueror 3 player. And it's kind of silly. It just should be like, okay, if you're Conqueror 2, you should just find another Conqueror 2 player immediately. But I guess they got to do other things behind the scenes, you know, like server matching and all that kind of stuff. But it's, yeah, I don't know. What's your experience like with matchmaking? Does it take too long? I guess for me, after playing like a whole bunch of Deadlock, where the player base is probably a bit higher, I would say, than Age of Empires, but the game seemed to pop very, very quickly despite needing 12 players. But I don't know, maybe that's just, I guess it's like comparing apples to oranges, isn't it? I'm sure there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what you can actually see. All right, well, a little bit of a run around happening. 3 sacred sites still held for the moment for May. Single town center. Hold on, can we just do some quick calcs here? I've got a single town center. Is that right for May? 67 vills. 67 vills on the other side with a single town center for Anat. So both players playing a single town center style, and we start to see the Kurultai moving into the middle of the map. So it looks like Anat is beginning to build up a bit of a big push towards that center, wants to neutralize that sacred site, guarantee that no sneaky sacred site victories are going to be happening, especially in the center of the map. And what is going on here? Yeah, there's nothing on the sacred site, but it was going down. I was a bit confused. I think it might have been the Kurultai. It was a bit weird. But the number's looking decent at the moment now for Anat. He's got a huge army, 96, 95. Against his opponent, though, on 100. Keep in mind, a lot of that is scholars, 22 scholars. So, while technically they are a military unit, they only really do healing. So, it's like 20% of your army that's just not there. But, I mean, it is there. And you can inspire your units, right? You have access to Zeal once you reach the Imperial Age. But obviously, we're not yet in the Imperial Age. But have a look at this, 23 minutes into the game. We got ourselves a bit of a battle beginning to unfold. Elephant, a single elephant gets immediately evaporated by the spears. Now we've got a nice combo here. Spear, archer together with the crossbow. Very safe from pretty much everything at this stage of the game. So nice little infantry mix it up. Falls back towards the other side of the Kurultai. Almost baits in May and says, hey May, just try and take out the Kurultai for me, would you? Because the problem is when you fight around the Kurultai, your units may prioritize the Kurultai over the enemy units. So it's a really nice bait to actually have here. You can see that Anat really wants to take this fight, but he wants to take this fight underneath the Kurultai, and specifically he wants to make sure that the Kurultai is frontlining for him. So it's not going to happen though. May says, I'm not going to take the bait. No matter how many times you shoot me, I'm not going to take the bait. There was a buff there. That's the Kurultai buff, right? Yeah, Kurultai buff. Aura of plus 20% damage. Actually picks off a couple of these crossbowmen. Very, very nice. Keep in mind, he does have that extra range starting to come through on these archers because of the pike's ability. Actually, is it all just crossbows? Yeah, there's a single archer in here. Is there a way that I can just click? No, there's 2 archers. There we go. He hasn't even got veterancy on it just yet. 5.5 tiles. Crossbowman's also got 5.5 tiles. It's a small little difference, but it really starts to add up. Are these a whole bunch of vills just getting mauled? It is too. Wow. May making a little bit of an uncharacteristic mistake here. But, yeah, losing out a lot of villagers in the north of the map. We see that they were, even before, now down 9 villagers. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Anat might be struggling here as May looks to even the score. Of course, only just taking out 1 villager for the moment. Going to keep it slow, but if he can work down these outposts, there's a good chance to be able to pick up the villagers, and you can see just how quick those villagers are trying to escape. Textiles is through already. Second town center is now online as well. And that's going to mean Anatan's got himself a little bit of an insurance policy for the late game, 25 minutes into this. Now, if this gets spotted out by May, there's a good chance that May could just push right now and could deal a killing blow, because you've got to remember that it might not seem like a lot, but this is a whole bunch of resources. I think, what is it, 800 resources, 900 resources? Let's double check and make sure that we're not... Yeah, 800 resources. Not to mention all of the resources you're putting into the villagers, and it's going to take time for them to pay off. Gets us around on the Kurultai. That's huge. That's absolute... Oh, it's so close. Oh, it's so close. That Kurultai has almost got the surround. And you can see he wanted to go for it with the scholars, trying to surround the Kurultai. The Kurultai manages to come out. Crossbow numbers are starting to look a little bit thicker here. You really want to try and push that, or put that Kurultai down. Look at the amount of units here for May. What is going on here? Oh, it's because there's a whole bunch back at home that have been caught out of position. May's gone for a great bait, May. The Kurultai unable to sit down on the ground. Anat could be in trouble here. Look at these scholars as they continue to push forward, healing up all of the troops from the Deli Sultanate. May, with beautiful timing, that second town center gets spotted out, and he says, don't worry about it, mate. I am going straight for the throat. Plenty of crossbows in here. Archers in the rear as well, working it down. Keep in mind, no Tower of Victory, but there is no need for it. Meanwhile, extra movement speed coming in from that outpost. A little bit of attack damage coming in from the Kurultai. But the numbers still looking good for May. A beautiful little composition that he's got here. Rallying in more and more troops. It's just a full infantry composition. Spearmen together with the men-at-arms on the front line. Crossbows together with the archers on the back line. And scholars just to heal up everything. A couple of lances we see out on the map, but I suspect it's just going to be for the cleanup crew. Walls towards the north. He's secured in the sacred site. And May, once again, looking good here against one of the world's best players. Look at the population difference. Look at the population difference. 21 to 104. May, the one-trick pony, is looking to upset one of the best players in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, is there anybody that can stand up to May right now? Because I tell you what, this is looking scary. I posed the question, could you become rank 1 just by one-tricking? And I feel like the answer is genuinely yes, if you're good enough for it. And May definitely seems like he's got the skills for it. This is incredible watching him play. Now, I will say the Deli Sultanate are particularly good when it comes to Dry Arabia. They love Dry Arabia. It's a great map for them. Lots and lots of space for them to play. Sacred sites are spread apart, which is what they want, because the sacred sites are very easy to defend for the Deli Sultanate, because they can just wall them in like this. So it makes it very easy for them to try and take control of the map, and that's exactly what May has done here. Anat on the defense. I feel like the only way for Anat to respond right now is through siege. But this is like the old mind, the old Age of Empires mind, right? Like, you can't just respond with siege anymore. It doesn't work. It's not good. Not until the Imperial Age. It just doesn't work, Drongo. Even if somehow Anat pulled out like 5 mangoes, I feel like he still doesn't win this. There's just too many military units. And keep in mind that May has got access to that unique technology. This one right here, Forced March. So all May does is seize those mangonels. Let's say, hypothetically, 5 mangonels sitting in the back here. May sees the mangonels and just force marches on top of those mangoes, killing them instantly. It's like, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't see any... There's no big way to get back into the game anymore. And the thing is, you can't even wall them in to try and protect them, because you're playing as the Mongols. You know, sometimes you do see players put down the box. If you've ever seen me play... with the mangonel only strategy, you put down this little box and you call it the box, and you just put your mangonels inside it, and then nothing can kill them except for ranged units. But anyway, the attack continues forward, slowly working down the production facilities of Anat. May, 125 military population at the moment. Keep in mind, a fair portion of that, 24, are scholars. He's going to continue pushing through. Look at the heals. Look at the heals. Infinite heals on these units. Palace of the Sultan coming through at the same time. You're just rubbing salt in his wounds at this point in the game. There's no way Anatan can hold this. You got 4 times his army, 5 times his army at this stage of the game. And you're going to Imperial Age. Palace of the Sultan. Absolutely unheard of. I tell you what, this guy may. It always gets tougher when you're in a tournament situation because enemies will just ban the Deli Sultanate against you and force you to play other civilizations. But I tell you what, if there was a 1-Civ Cup or a 1-Civ tournament or like a 1-Trick Pony tournament, May on the Deli Sultanate would be something fierce, something ferocious, something scary. That is for certain. All right, well, towards the north, Vils are going to try and burn down these battering rams, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. Look at the amount of units that were in here. The age up for Imperial just came through, and Anatan said, I don't want a piece of it. I don't want a piece of it. Yeah, keep your Imperial Age, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, go check out Anatan. I'll leave a link in the description. If you've enjoyed this game, make sure you leave a like, and of course, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.